In today's episode, I got a redesign case study for you because we'll take a look at how we can redesign the website of a dentist's office. So we'll take a look at how we can go from this to this and also this. So I guess you know what I'm about to say.
Let's find out.
Hello, I'm your host Casino from Casino.com. I'm the digital alchemist, and today we'll take a look at a website redesign case study for a dentist office. Now, this is based on a real story and on a project that I've actually been working on, but I won't be using the name of the client and the exact website that's currently still being worked on. But what I've done is that I recreated the initial website, at least for a couple of pages, and I'm going to show you the steps to go from just that design to the brief to all the steps to the end design. So, are you ready?
Let's get started.
1. The client brief. Now, the client brief is crucial. This is something that happens before you actually quote the project. You need to take as much information as possible. And also in that phase, it's true that you need to think about the quote that you're going to give to the client, but you really need to listen what the client has to say. Now, in my case, my client was very concerned about the design of his current website. He knew that the website design was obsolete. And looking at the design, he was right. Now, this is not the worst I've seen, and you should go back and look the first episode of this series where I recreated a really, really ugly website. But in this case, I mean, it looks obsolete. It doesn't look really fancy, but yeah, trust me, I've seen really worse. But still, this is just text. It's not really enticing. So let's take a look at the second page. This is more or less what it was. So it doesn't really make you want to read. If you look at all the text here, I mean, people don't read on the screen. I mean, eventually they read when they found what they want, but you know, if someone's looking for a dentist, they're probably going to open like 10 or 15 tabs and try to get an idea of who they want to give a call. 2, discovery phase. Now, this phase is crucial. This is a phase where you should gather as much material as you can. It can happen before you give the final estimate, or sometimes it happens after that, because you can try as much as you want, but what happens often is that during the brief, you get some information, and then I mean, the client would tell you, yeah, I got some content, and they really believe that they do. But at this point, you haven't signed anything. Sometimes they're not comfortable with releasing some content to you. They don't know if they're going to work with you yet. So as I said, it can happen before or after they validate the estimate. Now, in my case, this is what I got. I got a logo, and I think the initial logo was rasterized. So it was not a vector logo. So I asked my client if he could get the initial designer to give him the vector version, and I got the vector version. Now, usually I prefer to take on projects where I can work on the branding and on the design, because I think that's my added value. But being a creative professional means that you need to adapt. And in this project, I could do anything I want except the logo. The logo was already done. So, but the logo wasn't bad. So this is not the true logo of the real project, but it's pretty close. Really, really close. So you get an idea. So basically, this is what I had. Now, in terms of text, there's all the text from the initial website that's still there, and that's not going to change. So it's really a design revamp, because the rest of the content is really good. It's quite informative. Now, of course, I'm going to add my own touch to the copywriting. But I mean, most of the time, if I work on a project like that, I'm going to work with a copywriter. But here, like I said, this is medical, so I'm just going to bring my own touch to some of the wording, some of the hooks that you find on the website. But for the rest, the text content is good. Now, the good news is that there's a photographer that's going to intervene later down the road. And also, the dentist's office has been completely redesigned by a designer. So it looks pretty modern, and I mean, this is really good because it means I'm going to get some really good pictures, some really good material. 3, website structure. Now, the website structure is crucial, first of all, for the navigation of the website, because you want the visitors to easily be able to navigate and find information that they're looking for. But also, it's important for SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. So if we take a look at the current website, we have home, then we have the practice, where emergency advice and appointments. It's not bad, but I think that really we could make it better. And also, the client told me that there's other things he wants to talk about, so we need more items. And I don't think that this kind of navigation is going to work. As always, you're aiming for maximum 7 elements in the navigation, and if you can get less, it's better. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have more than 7 items in the navigation, but it just means that for the first level, you want maximum 7 elements, and then you can play with several techniques with more underlying elements. Now, for me, this is not going to work. So this is what I came up with. I decided to separate the navigation into 4 columns here. So we have home, dental, dental, which is the name, the fictional name of the dentist here. Then we have care and practical info. And as you notice, this is a full screen navigation. I know that many people think you still have to have the regular navigation, and I understand. Of course, it's better, but it's better if you only have 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. When you have that many elements, there's no choice really. And truth is, most people are going to see this website on a mobile. So, like I said, we have home, dental, care, and practical info. Then we have, so in home we have home, but we could add some other elements later down the road. Then in dental, we have photo gallery, testimonials, about us, code of ethics. Then within care, we have the frequently asked questions, emergency, prices. And in the practical info, we have practical info and contact us. And of course, there'll be a call to action to make an appointment. Now, if we take a look at the mobile version, it's even worse. I mean, the navigation is all over the place. It's not really responsive practice, so it doesn't quite work. So this is what I came up with. It's going to be a more modern full screen navigation with drop downs, because it's too much info to put everything into one screen. So just imagine that there are some people still browse on very tiny screens for wireframes and prototype. So if you're not familiar, the wireframes are just a simple representation of what you're trying to build before you get into the design phase. Now, you can use free tools like Figma, which is absolutely beautiful and great. You can use the free Adobe XD. Well, there are many free tools, or you can go premium, either with Figma, because of course they have a premium version, and with Sketch. There are many others. I don't want to offend anyone, but personally, since I'll be creating the website within WordPress and with Elementor Pro, I don't really see the point of using those tools, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to recreate everything. So what I did is I actually built a tool that I can use to do just that. So let me show you. So I'm now in the backend of WordPress, and I actually opened the homepage with Elementor Pro. And what you see here is just pre-styled items and sections, blocks, and layouts. So that's the tool that I told you about, but you can pretty much recreate that yourself, create your own system. Now, I was tired of recreating it all the time and just trying to maintain things that were completely different. So I created my own system, but you can totally do it for free. You can actually do wireframes with pen and paper, or like I said, you can use Figma, Sketch, which are completely free. So because I want to work in Elementor, I'm using this tool, which I'll talk about in a moment. So here I created my homepage. So I have a main section here. And what I do really, I just copy and paste the blocks. So let's take a look at the final result. So this is the homepage. So I have the first hero section here with title, a couple of call to actions. Then I have some text. Then I'll talk about my unique selling proposition. And in the case of the dentist, about why people should choose his office. Next, we'll have some testimonials. Then we have frequently asked questions. And finally, a big, bold call to action. Now, here at the top, you see we have a Book Now button that will link to the booking form to make some appointments. And we have the navigation. And when we click on the navigation, as you can see here, it's full screen. Next, we'll take a look at the second page. I won't be able to show you all the pages of the website, but we'll take a look at this page, which is the About Us page. So we have a first section with an image, with a title. Then we have some text, And then we have the detail about who's in the team. And finally, we still have another big, bold call to action. And when it comes to the mobile, as you can see, this is already responsive and already working out of the box. It looks more modern than what we had previously. So let me show you. So this is what we had, and this is what we're working on. And for the About Us page, there you go. Now, bear in mind, this is not the final design. This is just the blocks of content, the structure and the layout that we want to be sure and we want to validate before we move on to the next phases. Now, if you're interested in the tool I mentioned, it's called Wirementor, and disclaimer, I built this tool, which is not a free tool, but like I said, you can create your own system. Now, if you want to benefit from already pre-styled items and possibly gain some time, then you may consider Wirementor. So if you're interested, just head on to wirementor.com. 5. Mood boarding. Now, mood boarding is the art of collecting a lot of different visual elements so that you can get a better idea of what you're trying to achieve. Now, I'm sure there's a more scientific definition, but basically I prefer this one because really that's what I'm doing when I'm mood boarding. Now, you can mood board, for example, let's say you've never worked on a dentist website and you want to see what the rest of the industry is doing, then you could do a mood board where you collect all visual info about the industry, the type of website they use, the type of colors, the type of logos, many different things. But in this case, like I said, the client already had his logo and doesn't want to change it. So we're not going to work on that. What we're going to work on in this phase is a mood board of the current type of design we want to use for this project. So this is the mood board I created with Affinity Designer. You can also use Adobe Illustrator or any software you prefer. So once again, this is not about copying a full design of someone. This is about getting inspiration. So I collect a lot of visual elements to get an idea for what's current, what's modern, and to get a feeling for what I want to achieve. So you can go really in detail. So for example, here, I really liked how clean the background was here. And then just some other elements just to get on them, just to get a feel for what I want to build. It's hard to explain. The more you do it, the better you're gonna become at doing it. At one point, I used to skip that part, but honestly, the best results I've had in web design was when I actually did that step and created the mood board. So that's what I'm advising you to do. 6, the content. So that's going to be an easy one because, like I said, we already have the text from the initial website. This is just a design revamp, and most of the text is really well written and already accurate. I'm just going to bring my own touch for some of the hooks, some of the wording, but for the rest, it's already good. Now, like I said, the good news is that the whole dentist office has been physically redesigned by a designer, and a photographer has been given the mission to create beautiful pictures. So I won't be able to show everything in the design on this video because the final project, real project, is not over yet, but you get a feel for it. 7, the brand guide. So it depends on the project really. Sometimes the clients come with their own brand guide already done, and then it makes it really easy for me to work. But usually I ask that in the brief phase or in the discovery phase to make sure that this is a project for me and vice versa. Now, when they don't have a brand guide, I can offer the service. Sometimes they will go with it and sometimes they don't see really the need for it. So like I said, my added value is really into doing that, into branding. So most of the time, I'm not interested in projects where I won't be able to really add some value. But in this case, it was different because, like I said, the dentist office has been completely redesigned by a very talented designer. I'm going to be able to work with beautiful pictures, and the logo isn't bad at all. So I thought we can make this work. Now, in an ideal scenario, I prefer to work on the branding before everything is decided, because here they did the opposite. They had the logo created and then they came to me. So usually it's better to create a logo when you've defined the brand and everything, but that's a story for another episode. So here I'm in the brand guide, and you see usually we should have all the values defined here and a lot of different elements defined, but in our case, this is not the case. So let's get to the chase. This is the logo, and I did not create the logo, but what I did is make sure I knew which font was used so that it could be recreated in case it was lost. I mean, these kind of things happen. And also, it came in this shape, okay, really square shape, and that's not going to work for everything. So what I did is that I really made a horizontal version also, just reusing the elements. I didn't create anything, but just created the horizontal version and the minimal version, and then the negative version here. Next, I made sure there was a little guide to explain how to use the logo, because I mean, this is not something you want to see, and I saw it at the beginning, so thought it was important, and I always do it to specify how to use the logo. So what I did is I used the colors from the logo to just to define the color palette. Usually, like I said, when I work on the branding, the process is completely different and takes much more time. But here, I was just asked to redesign the website and not to work on the branding because, like I said, it was already defined. So I didn't spend too much time on this, but because the colors were nice, I mean, this color palette was created by the designer. So all I had to do is just pick the colors from the logo and from the material that she gave me. And then I just added a contrasting color, and that was it. Then I have all the fonts defined here so that I know what I'm going to use and in which situation. Now, if you're interested in using the same template that I'm using, well, I got good news for you because I created a brand identity guidelines template, which you can download completely free of charge. Now, initially, it was made for Affinity Designer software, but you can also use it with Adobe Illustrator with a workaround. So if you're interested, just go to casino.com/branding and follow the instructions to get your free copy of this guide. 8. Graphic design. Now, this phase is crucial because this is the phase where you prepare all the assets for the upcoming design. So I like to spend time on that phase. So for example, this image here will be used as an overlay, and you see that when we get to the design phase. So we have the color version, we have the white, but it's white on transparent, so it's quite hard to see. So the white color version. Then we have all our team members. So let me show you, they've all been isolated. So once I got all of that, it was easy to create a beautiful hero section with all the various team members isolated and recreating the background. Now, this is exactly what I'm also doing for the real project. So as you can see, it takes more than 15 minutes or 1 hour or 1 day to create a website. It takes time because just isolating each team member takes some time, trying to find the different concepts, work on all the tiny details takes some time, but it's totally worth it. And that's one part of the job that I really love because that's where I can really get creative. 9. The design phase. Finally, we get to the design phase. So bear in mind, this comes after the brief, the discovery phase, the website structure, the wireframes and the prototype. Then we had the mood boarding. We had all the content gathering, all the content. Then we worked on the brand guide. Then we worked on the graphic design assets. And only then we can start the real web design. So are you ready for this?
I bet you do.
So as a reminder, this was the initial homepage. Then we created the prototype. Okay, so this is our hero section and this is our hero section. And as you can see, when we scroll, we have this scaling effect here on the image. And you see that a lot on this website. Then we have the discover section just underneath. So let's go back to our section here. So that would be our discovery section. And this is our section here. Very simple. The text is really for the search engines because nobody's going to read all of that. Lots of white space. And then we have a call to action, moving to the unique selling proposition. And if I do the same here, okay, so this is before, this is after. So this is our section. Then let's move on to the next section, the testimonials. And here we have some parallax, as you can see here. Next, we have our frequently asked questions. And there you go. And next, we have our call to action banner. And this is the one we have here. So I was talking about working on the copy. I think that Yo Smile is unique, really conveys the message. Now, it's always possible to come up with really creative things, but sometimes simple is better. Next, let's move on to the About Us page, which was called Practice here. So we had the images just like that, lots of text, various fonts, various sizes of fonts. Like I mentioned, I've seen worse, but in terms of design, it's obsolete. So we went from this to this. So this is the prototype. So we have one section with an image, the title, then we have the text, and then we have the breakdown of the theme and the call to action banner. So going back up, this is what we have now. Once again, we have the scaling effects, but the other way around this time, it's inverted. Now for the title, I created this part here, which you find on each and every pages except from the home page. Then we have the text section here that you can see here. And then we have the theme. So this was really simple. And I always insist this is not the final design, but it allows you to quickly create a prototype so you can show to the client and just validate the structure. And here it became this. So it was a bit tough to create because for some of the team members, there was a lot of text. For others, there was less. And for others, there was almost nothing. So I had to come up with a layout that would allow to make the whole thing look nice and also work on the tablet and on the phone versions. So this is what I came up with, and I'm still using that scaling effect that you can see here. And here we have the assistants. So sorry if it's a bit choppy, but my computer is having a hard time coping with everything that's currently open. And then we have the call to action banner that you can see here. Now, in terms of navigation, this is what we had at the top. This is what we came up with in the prototype. And this is the final result. So now let's take a look at the mobile version, which is the version that most people will actually see. I think it's going to be from 6 to 8 people are going to discover this website on a mobile. So here we have, so let me go back up. We have our hero section, really tailored for the mobile. Then we have our text, a bit too long, but like I said, we need it for the search engine. Why choose us? Then we have our testimonials, our frequently asked questions, and our call to action banner. Now for the About Us page, we have our first section here with the photo banner, and we can see that scaling effect here also. And also the title here that I showed you in the desktop version looks quite stylish here in the mobile version. At least that's my opinion. Next we have our text, then we have the theme, and still with the scaling effects, just to add some movement, make it look a little bit more interesting. I don't like when everything moves, but when it's subtle and it gives a modern touch, then it's interesting. And then we have our call to action banner and our footer. So I'm not going to show you all the pages because this video will be too long, but you can get a feel for what the rest of the website is going to be like. Now, to complete this project, I've used Photoshop, but just a tiny bit. For the rest, I've used Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, WordPress, and Elementor Pro. Question of the day. What do you find most challenging when redesigning your website? Please let me know in the comments. So I hope that you enjoyed this case study, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up because it really helps growing this channel. And if you know someone that could benefit from it, please share it now. Now, if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and please smash the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. Now, if you'd like to know when I release new content, and if you'd like exclusive tips to help you grow online and as a creative professional, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter by going to kesenia.com/newsletter. So that's it for this case study and for this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And in the meantime, don't forget to invest
In your success.